Okay, Charles, we're coming close to the Mardi Gras weekend. Just tell me first, what are the Neville brothers planning for Mardi Gras weekend?
Well, the only thing we've got planned is to be at Tipitina's for 3 of the nights leading up to Mardi Gras, the Friday, Saturday, and the Monday, known as Lundi Gras, the night before Mardi Gras, where we're going to be starting at midnight and probably playing in there until almost sunup.
But these concerts are a tradition for Neville?
Yeah, they are. Mardi Gras weekend at Tipitina's. We've been doing that pretty much since we began the band as the Neville Brothers.
How long the band is together now?
Let's see, 1977 we started it. So that's 12, 13 years.
You started after the White Chibitulas recording?
Yeah, that was when I came back to New Orleans in 76 to do that recording. And that was the first time that the four of us had done something together in like more than 10 years.
Can you tell me a little bit about this? This is a famous recording now of Mardi Gras Indians music. Can you tell how it comes together? How did it happen?
Well, the way it was first conceived, my uncle, who had been like performing with the Wild Chapatulas, he formed this group, the Wild Chapatulas Mardi Gras Indians, and he was doing the traditional Mardi Gras Day ceremony with the Indians. And there's this music that is associated with the Indian ceremonies that's been handed down traditionally over the years. But each tribe has their versions of the music. So he had his versions of it and wanted to record it and asked us to come down and do the recording with him. And that's what brought us together, and that's what led to the forming of the Neville Brothers Band.
Who had the idea to bring just modern instrument to the Indian songs?
Well, it was done by Willie T. and Earl Turbington with Bo Dollars and the Wild Magnolias. They did it first. They recorded something, I think an album called They Call Us Wild. And although, it had been done we had been performing the music for years, and most of the other bands around New Orleans had been doing the music. So like to do it on record like that with real instruments was just, it recorded better than with just the untrained voices and the drums and tambourines.
Yeah, and you used, at that time, there was only traditional songs, or did you actually write new songs for this recording?
There was one that was, it's a traditional song to Brother John, but Cyril and Jolly put that one together for the recording, their version of it. And, Hey Pocketway is another old one, but we did a new version of that. But everything else was like Jolly's music, Jolly's songs. Some of them were his originals that were not the really old traditional songs, but most of them were.
Can you tell me a little bit how the whole Neville family is involved in the Mardi Gras Indians?
Well, we're not involved any longer now. But originally the way we got involved was through, Jolly was the first one to start masking as an Indian at Mardi Gras. He was with several different gangs before he formed his own, the Wild Chapatulas. And it was always the most interesting thing to do on Mardi Gras was to find some Indians and follow the Mardi Gras Indians. And that was how we first got involved, just as second liners with the Indians. And then after Jolly started the Wild Chapatulas and we did the recording, then we started doing making costumes. And for just a couple of the years, we actually did go with him at Mardi Gras, but mainly we did it for the performances after the album was done. We had to do the music, and we figured, let's let people see what it looks like too, so we did it with the costumes.
Did you ever mask outside and on the street?
I only did that once. Not the last Mardi Gras that Jolly masked, I think 2 years before the last one that he did.
And you sew your own costume?
Yeah, well, I had been sewing the costumes for the performances too. But we never had time to really make a costume that would be good enough to go out on the street with the other Indians, because that took like 6 or 8 months of sewing. I always had like maybe a month to get that we were free before Mardi Gras.
What did Chief Jolly, or what was your remember of the history? Where did the Indians come from originally? The idea.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories about how it originated. I really don't know what the the true story of it is. One of them I heard, though, the one that I liked, was that there was a place here in New Orleans called the Palmetto Swamp, back when New Orleans was much smaller. And the Palmetto Swamp was a place where the Native Americans had a camp, and escaped slaves would join with them in the camp. And in order to live, they had to raid the ranches and the city for food. And so the citizens were fearful about that. They sent word to Napoleon that they needed some soldiers here to put down this danger. And the story is that when the soldiers came, they surrounded this Palmetto Swamp and asked the Indians and the escaped slaves to come out. And those who didn't, they set the palmettos afire and burned the area up. And those who came out were shot as they came out. And those who didn't come out were burned in there. And so one of the stories is that to commemorate that some of the freed slaves and the Native Americans would get together and wear costumes and do a ceremony on this day to commemorate that. Like I said, I don't know if that's really but that's my favorite story about how it originated.
And did you hear something about the Congo Square scene?
Well, that was part of it. That was that was where the slaves were permitted to gather on Sundays and do whatever they could of the tribal dances, the ritual dances from the whatever their African religions were, and to wear whatever they could put together that was like what they wore at home, which wasn't very much. So the closest thing to it was what the Native Americans were wearing. And so they patterned costumes that were based on African and Native American elements. And that's kind of what the Mardi Gras Indian costumes evolved from.
And how does voodoo come to this?
Well, voodoo was the religion of most of the African tribes of West Africa. And the music that was done in Congo Square, the drumming and the dancing, were the ritual songs from the religion. They were like parts of the religious ceremonies. That was called voodoo. And so the music that became the Mardi Gras Indian music, and that's a great part of the New Orleans music, came from the original Yoruba religion that's called Vodun.
So how much is it true that the Indian music, whose roots come from Asia, from Caribbean and from Africa, is just one of the main basic of the New Orleans style of music?
That's really true. Like the music of the Caribbean also is closely linked to the music of Africa, and a lot of it is from the same source, the religious music. And somehow when all of the musical elements came together here in New Orleans, it seemed the strongest element was that those religious rhythms. And that's still the force that drives the New Orleans music, especially the music associated with Mardi Gras. You know, the second line music, the music that makes you dance.
And let me say, the songs, the Neville are still performed, the traditional Mardi Gras songs. So what does it mean for the band and for you to still perform these old songs?
Well, those they're part of our life. You know, it's a tradition. It's part of the culture that we grew up in, and it's something that Mardi Gras Day was always a special day to everybody in New Orleans. But in particular, it was a special day to the black people of New Orleans because, like in the past, people's lives were mostly hard, and there wasn't time, money, or energy to do any real celebrating except on that one day of the year, and everybody saved up everything and worked toward being able to really celebrate themselves on that day and celebrate the fact that, well, I'm not only Joe Blow, the construction worker, or John Doe, the longshoreman, I'm also me. And if I want to be the big chief, well, on Mardi Gras, I can be the big chief, Or maybe what I really am is this prince from some ancient African tribe, and I can't be myself every day. I got to work and take care of my family. But on Mardi Gras Day, I can put on my finery and let the world see what I really am. And to us, that's still something special about Mardi Gras, that it calls for a special kind of releasing of the spirit. And the music helps to do that. The music that's associated with Mardi Gras definitely helps to call forth whatever all of the really positive elements in a person's spirit are.
This creates a special black image?
Not so much create an image as just invoke this spiritual awareness, an awareness of the fact that, well, there's something in me that's greater than what the physical composition of myself is.
How would you think between these kind of image and both the black people on this day has some other eye it belongs to racism? So what I mean is on this day there's a famous line said the Indians are the ruler on the Mardi Gras day. Mm-hmm. So the ruler over the white Mardi Gras also is a little bit fighting back.
Yeah, and also, well, yeah, like traditionally one of the things that when the Indians march, everything stops, everybody gets out of their way. They, with the Indian costumes, on Mardi Gras Day, the black people could stop traffic on Canal Street. They could go anywhere they wanted to and act as boisterous and outgoing as they wanted to on that day, and it was all right because they were the Mardi Gras Indians. You know, they weren't just some Negroes from uptown.
Did your uncle tell you once about the famous stories about the killing, going on the real fightings?
Well, yeah, that happened when we were kids. We used to see that happening. There were rivalries between the different neighborhoods, and the Mardi Gras Indian groups came from different neighborhoods. And one of the traditional things was that the Indians would, when the person put on the costume, then he was going to maintain this image. He was a warrior, and he was an invincible warrior. And so a lot of the songs saying, we won't bow, we won't kneel, and won't bow. And that meant that when they met another tribe, the spy ball would tell the other spy ball, okay, my big chief is coming through, you got to get out the way. You got to bow down to my chief. And no, bow. And so the fights would start because neither would give way. And then if there was already a rivalry, well, then the fight could get really violent and deadly.
And how and when did it change?
I don't know exactly. I think in the 60s. It began to change in the 60s when when everything in this country was kind of changing. And the attitude of enmity just kind of began to change, and the idea of, well, we're really all brothers, we're really all part of this one thing, and so violence and hurting each other is not the way to celebrate. It's a rivalry, yes, but the rivalry can be acted out in the songs and the dances and the rituals, and it can also be done through the costumes. That the rivalry is to see which tribe has the most beautiful costumes.
Where would you put the Indians now when you look at the Black civil rights movement? Do they have a place there?
I think that mainly the purpose that was served by to the Black community by the Indians was just an increased dignity that Black people were able to have on their own as themselves with their own efforts, without, so that, well, how could I connect that to what it really means to the advancement of the civil rights thing? I think part of what allowed that to happen was Black people being able to view themselves with more pride and dignity, and to reject the stereotypes that were the images that were that white people had of them, and that they were given of themselves by white people, and begin to look at what the reality that is, and see that, well, this is what I really am, and I'm not what someone else says I am, and I think that maybe seeing that whole doing that, keeping that tradition and keeping those customs that come from Africa alive, and with pride, and seeing also that they are so widely accepted and sought after now by people who come. Everybody wants to see the Mardi Gras Indians, you know. In fact, it's getting to the point where maybe the Mardi Gras Indians are one of the biggest things of the Mardi Gras now. So I think that the fact that people can look at that now and recognize that, wow, this is something of our past, of our heritage, of our ancient heritage, that we still do with pride, and it's something that gets the attention of the rest of the world, and it gets the attention of the rest of the world with interest and with a recognition of the dignity of what it is.
Will it have a future?
Oh yeah, definitely, because the kids are still learning about it, are still getting involved in it, still wanting to do it. And yeah, I think it's going to continue to be carried on. And since it has also become more than just the folk art performance that it always was, or which was just like the actual traditional following of the rituals. Now, since there's so much interest in it, it's become entertainment as well in show business, so that now the Indians don't only do what they do on Mardi Gras Day. There are other days that it's done, and there are performances done on stage in different places. There are performances put on for entertainment now. And lots and lots of film have been shot of it. So yeah, I think definitely it's going to continue.
I watched many of your performances around about Mardi Gras times years ago, and I always got the feeling that the Neville brothers really have to explain what the Mardi Gras Indians were to the white folks. Doesn't make
Yeah, well, that's less so now because so much information has been given about them. There's been so many documentaries done on the Indians, so much written about them, so many photographs taken of them, that now more people know, really kind of what it is. But yeah, originally, like for a long time, it was something that, it was this strange phenomenon that happened and people didn't know where it was coming from, why it was happening, or what it represented.
So tell me, which Mardi Gras Indian songs the Neville brothers are gonna play next concert?
Wait, I'm sorry, which what?
Yeah, which songs you're gonna play?
Oh.
Or which songs you normally play in your concert?
Well, we usually do Meet the Boys on the Battlefront. Sometimes we do Indians, Here They Come. Sometimes we do New Suit, Smoke My Peace Pipe, Big Chief, Big Chief with the Golden Crown.
So when do you decide, just in a minute before? Or?
Yeah, we decide just before we go on stage.
And you're gonna think that you. What about Hey Pocky Way? Is it an Indian song too?
Yeah, it's based on an Indian song.
I think there was on the Yellow Moon album was even a new Indian song.
Oh, Wild Indians down in New Orleans. Yeah, that was one that Cyril wrote. It's like a tribute to the Indians.
So the band still perform with some members of Wild Chabatulas gang, or was another gang?
No, most of the people who were the Wild Chabatulas when we were doing it with them are dead now. Like some of the younger guys are still around, but no, we haven't been doing any performances with them for several years now.
So tell us a little bit about the Neville brothers, or your personal plans for this year.
For this year, well, after playing at Tipitina's on the night before Mardi Gras, my plan for Mardi Gras Day is maybe I'll go out for a little while and see the parades that go down St. Charles Avenue, since they're so close, they're walking distance. And then I just might put on a costume and go out there and hang out all day. I'm not sure. It's going to depend on how I feel that day, so I don't really plan it. But I did get a mask, and I've got some stuff to do a costume if I do feel that way when I get off. And I think Art's probably going to take his son somewhere to see the parades. I know Cyril's going to be with his kids checking out the parades somewhere. And Aaron is probably going to spend a quiet day at home.
And tell me a little bit about, there's not only Charles Neville, the saxophone player, there's Charles Neville, the artist. You do paint it for yourself?
I do some painting and wood carving, although I haven't had time to really do any of that for a while. I'm just beginning to try to do some stuff again because there's a gallery here that wants to do a show at Jazz Fest time. And so I'm going to try to get enough pieces together to do the show at Jazz Fest.
Are you composing music?
Yeah, we're working on stuff to get ready to do the next album. But when I have the time to sit down and write, I write instrumental things, do instrumental music.
Which gave you a Grammy last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my purpose, I think we're fine.
Ja.
You'd explain a little bit of the things you had on your...
Okay.
Eine Frage würde ich gerne noch einmal meine Totale und nachher Hannes, oder? Also du hast noch eine Frage gestellt.
Yeah. Speaking from now, from this day, are you planning to do the new album again with Daniel Lenoir or Malcolm Byrne?
No, we're going to produce the next one ourselves.
Completely different.
Yeah.
But you don't think about making your own studio?
No.
No.
That would be nice, but maybe we'll try to do it at Daniel's studio.
Mm-hmm.
But that depends on whether it's available or not. And Daniel's in Europe now. He's really busy, so even if we wanted to do it with him, it probably wouldn't be able to work out.
We just met him in Cafe Istanbul
Uh-huh.
last week.
Uh-huh.
He was there with Peter Grapio and I think somebody from U2.
Yeah.
So I think they produced something.
Yeah.
Final mix of Peter Grapio's album, I think.
Yeah, when I last saw him, I met him at the little restaurant called the Bluebird, and he told me he was leaving the next day to go to Europe.
So he's not really from Mardi.